Hello everybody, Corey here. We're going to do go over the trades and holdings for the single stock and YBIT ETFs for YieldMax for June 12th, which was Wednesday. Just a reminder, I'm not a qualified licensed investment or financial advisor. I just gather data presented to you to help you make your decisions, or at least be more informed. YieldMax ETFs are extremely risky. Please make sure you've read through all of these risks on their website, looked at some of the historical data, and make sure you're completely informed on these before investing in them. So we do have some trades, but we don't have any that we're closed out of, so we will look at the trades while we're looking at the holdings, so we won't have to swap back and forth. So we're just going to jump in here, and we're going to try to get through this fairly quickly this morning. So AIYY has 2 short calls. So reminder, we have 2 trading days left. So we have Thursday and Friday trading days, and the majority of these will expire on Friday. So, and we had a green day yesterday, and pre-market this morning, we're having a green day so far. So keep that in mind as we're looking at these strike prices. Okay, so AIYY, we have 2 short calls here. We have a 32 and 33.50 strike price. We are underneath those 1 and 6%, but that 32 strike price, which is where the majority of our contracts are, we're only 38 cents from this strike price. So keep that in mind. It looks like we have about a 15-cent upside for AIYY for the short calls. We have AMDY. We have 2 short calls, 172.50 and 175. We're doing okay here, only because AMD has not been doing well. So we're underneath those strike prices at 8 and 7%. We have about 1/3 and 2/3 of how our shares or contracts are split up here. So I don't know, maybe about 60-cent upside for the short calls for AMDY. AMZ here. We have 87.50 and 190. We're at 186.89. So we're, what is that? 61 cents away from that strike price. But the majority of our contracts are sitting at the 190. So we're looking about a 34-cent increase possibly for AMZ. And then we have Aptly here. We have 1 short call, 202.50. I would expect that they would close this out today, especially if it's going to continue to be a green day and how Apple's been ripping. But I don't know. Maybe they'll hope that it'll go down Friday. I don't know. We will see. But, you know, we're over this by $10.50, 5%. So no upside for the short calls themselves. And you see yesterday we went up, what, $6? And Aptly went up 7 cents. So you may or may not see any upside here for the synthetic itself. As you can see, using yesterday as an example, that, yeah, you got some upside, but it was only 7 cents. Hardly, basically nothing, right? So just keep that in mind. We have Coney here. We have 1 short call with a 280 strike. We did come up $10 yesterday, but do know that we were in the 260s yesterday also. So, yeah, I don't know that we'll get close to this, but I know in Ulti, their strike price is 250. They even sold some more at 250 yesterday, even though we were way over that strike price. So I don't know what the idea is here. But currently we're underneath that strike price by 9% with a possible upside of about $2 there for Coney. Then we have Dizzo here. They added 45 contracts to the synthetic position and created a new short call that will expire next week with the 103 strike price. So our strike prices, we have 103 and 104. We're underneath those 2 and 3%. Dizzo went down 7 cents yesterday while Disney went down 7 cents yesterday while Disney went up. Dizzo went up 1 cent. So not much movement going on here. But possibly 50-cent upside for Dizzo should it be able to go up, which is sort of crazy, right? Because we had an extremely green day yesterday for it not to go up. No trades here on Phoebe. We have a short call that expires this week. $512.50. Strike price, we're underneath that 1%. Possible 14-cent upside there. Now, GDXY. The link is still not working for the trades for those. It was working, right? And then it stopped working the last couple of days. I guess I'll try it one more day today. If it doesn't work, then I will shoot Jay an email. I just hate to bother him. So let me look, but I'm guessing that some trades were done that we won't be able to capture, unfortunately. But let me look. Maybe not. So our synthetic 1750. Let me make sure that this is, yeah, so 1750. Sorry, I'm looking at my computer. Outstanding shares are the same. 6 is the same. 1485. No. Okay, so we didn't have any trades, so I guess that's a good thing. And you know what? It wasn't this one. I'm sorry. It was SNOY. These two came out so close together. I mixed those up, so I need to look at SNOY when we pull that one up. But anyway, we have three short calls here: 35, 35.50, and 36.50. We're underneath those 3, 4, and 7%. Looks like we have about a 45-cent upside for this if GDX does go up. So then we have GUI here. They added 80 contracts to the synthetic and created a new short call for next week with 180 strike, which we're only under 1%. This week's strike prices are 177.50, which we are over by $2.29. And then we have a 180 and 182.50. Possible upside of maybe about 10 or so cents here for the short calls for GUI. Then we have JPMO. We have 3 short calls. JPM did go down yesterday, so I heard something about the banks going down yesterday, but I don't know what all was said from the Fed and stuff, so I'm not sure. But we have 197.50, 200, and 202.50 strike prices. Possible about, 80, 90 cent upside here should it be able to go up. I actually got under $19 yesterday for JPMO. And then we have Murney here. They added 35 contracts to the synthetic and then 35 to the, they created a new short call for next week with 35 contracts with a 150 strike price, which are currently under 2%. This week's strike price is 152.50 and 157.50. We're underneath those 3 and 6%. So we're looking about, we could go up maybe $1 here for those short calls. MSFO, they added 55 contracts to the synthetic and created a new short call with 55 contracts for next week with a strike price of $4.45. We're underneath that 1%, or about $4. That's interesting. Okay. It was interesting to actually see. Well, that's because we're not quite there. All right, so we have the two short calls for this week, 427.50, 432.50. We're over those already by 2 and 3%, so no upside here for these short calls. The stock itself, the synthetic may make it bring up, but this is going to be very similar to, what was it, Apple? And yesterday, we only went up 2 cents for MSFO, while Microsoft went up over $8. So just to point that out there for those of you that may be wondering why it's not going up. So we have Misty here. We have 5 short calls, 1605, which were under $1 something. Then 1715, 1800, 1820, and 1850. The majority of the contracts are sitting at the 1800, so we're underneath that one 11%. So possible about 250 upside there. But We range anywhere from 0 to 13% up underneath the strike prices for Misty. Then we have Nestle. We have 2 short calls that expire Friday, 650 and 657.50. We're over the 650 by 6 cents. That is where the majority of our contracts sit. And yesterday we came up $1.50 for Netflix, and Nestle came up 2 cents. So we're basically at this point capped for our short calls, and we may or may not go up more based on the synthetic. NVIDIA, 2 short calls, 125, 126. We're over the 125 by 20 cents, and that's where 90-something% of our contracts are sitting. So no upside for our short calls here, not really, because the next one doesn't have that many contracts there. But maybe based on the synthetic, we can go up. We're just 10 cents shy of $30. We did jump up $4 yesterday. So when we have OARC here, we have the short call, $46 strike price. We're under that 2% or 92 cents. Possible upside of 22 cents there for OARC. Then we have PayPay, 2 short calls, 66 and 69. We're underneath those 4 and 8%. Possible upside of about $1.30 there for PayPay. Then we have SNOY. So this is the one that I said, okay, our outstanding shares haven't gone up, but let me just look and make sure. But this is the one that the link stopped working for. So that was that day. Okay, so we still have 195, so that's where we were. Love you. All right, sorry about that. My husband was leaving. So when I said I love you, it wasn't to y'all guys. Don't get me wrong, I love you guys, but I was talking to my husband. So I don't know where I was here, but SNOY, I was talking about, yes, we are, we actually have no trades here. So where am I at? 131 and 132 strike prices. We're under the 131 by about 70 cents or 67 cents there. So we do have a little bit of upside here. For the short calls, about 5 or so cents. I don't know. I'll tell you that I personally did buy into this one. I know we usually try to wait, just like Misty. Oh, let's wait. And we saw how that worked out. But I personally invested in Snow and SNOY because it is near its all-time lows, or at least it was in this past week or so. It's starting to go back up, but so yeah. So I have a few shares of those. I know y'all ask me sometimes what I have, and then of course my response the other day was somebody asked me, and I'm like, well, technically I own them all because I do the YieldMax project, and which is to show, buying all of them to try and mimic YieldMax to show you, how much I'm getting versus what I would have gotten by just holding YieldMax, that, getting a lot more money. So anyway, so that was it for SNOY here. And then we have SQUEE that added 120 contracts to the synthetic and created a new short call for next week with a 67.50 strike price, which were under 4%. And then the 2 short calls here that expired this week, 66 and 70 strike price, were underneath those 2 and 8%. Majority of the contracts are sitting at the $66, so we have about a 38-cent upside should it decide to go up. Tesla, oh my goodness. So pre-market. So if you haven't heard, Musk, they approved Musk's pay package. So with that said, the strike prices are $182.50 and $185. In pre-market, Tesla is at $187 something. So yeah, we would be over these. But yeah, so as of yesterday though, we were under these by 3 and 4%. So we will see how it goes. All right, so we'll see what happens with Tesla, but we have Zomo here. We have our They added 40 contracts to the synthetic position and created a new short call for next week at the 112 strike price, which were only under $1.07 or 1%. This week's strike prices, we have 113, 115. We're underneath those 2 and 4%. Possible upside of about 56 cents here for Zomo for the short calls. All right, so now we have crash here. We have no trades, but we have 2 short puts, 170 and 157.50. And then we have, well, the long call is always going to stay there and stay the same. So that's where we stand for crash. And then our last one, we have YBIT here. We do have 4 short calls that expire tomorrow. We have 25.50 strike price, which we're under 1 cent away. And then we have a 27, 27.50, and 28.50, and we're underneath those 6, 7, and 11%. Then we have our synthetic positions here that do expire next week, and we are underneath those by 29%. We were never at the $36. Just to let you know, they just went out and did a future strike price, I guess, with the assumption that we would have gotten up to that $36 mark, and BITO has never gotten there. So I don't know why. I don't know why these came out wrong like that. I know I had to do a bunch of formula copying and changing this morning. Still shouldn't have made a difference. But these should not be here. But we can see the synthetic is bringing the stock down $7.50 there. To close those out will cost us almost $9 million to close it out. So we'll see how it goes next week, but not looking good because we're $10.50 over that strike price right now. As far as the short calls, the majority of them are at the 27.50, so it looks like possible upside of maybe 90 cents here for YBIT. If BITO can get up to that 27.50, which would be a jump of $22. So anyway, I will let y'all go, and thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully you were able to get something out of this, and I'll talk to y'all later.